Alright, what's going on you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host Dr. Jota, and in this longer video I would like to expand a little bit more the information from the interview of Florentino Perez last night in El Transistor in Spain, where he was talking about pretty much everything regarding to Real Madrid and the future and things like that. But let me tell you something in the first place, which is very important because it really affected to the whole interview that we saw. So I don't know whether the culture or the journalists or what, but let me tell you that the whole interview was horrible. I mean, it didn't like it at all. It was a horrible work done by the journalists. It was really bad because when you have to a person like Florentino Perez right in front of your eyes, there are 1,000 questions to be made to a person who really knows the future about Real Madrid. And guess what? This journalist spent about the first 30 to 40 minutes trying to ask him about his personal life. Something that we really are not interested at all in, because we don't want to know what the personal life of Florentino Perez is like. I mean, we want to know what is going to happen with our team, with Real Madrid in the future. I mean, you can ask him about the new European Super League, the new stadium, the signings, the departures, all the stuff, and you spend about 30 to 40 minutes in asking him questions about his personal life. Really? Is that serious, man? I mean, it was really surprising for me, because the journalist is not brand new, a brand new guy who is asking random questions and things like that. No, he's a person with a very long story, long background in the radio shows, and he is supposed to know what are the best questions for the president of Real Madrid, but apparently not. And the funny thing is that, for example, I missed a bunch of questions regarding to the future. For example, Eden Hazard. What is going to happen with the Belgian player? He didn't even ask about him. That is really funny. And of course, about as far as the Superliga, the European Super League, it was barely 2-3 questions. When the other day in El Chiringuito, Florentino Perez spent about 35 to 40 minutes explaining the whole project and all the details about that. I mean, and now that we have all these latest decisions from the court in Spain, the court in Madrid, promoting and supporting La Superliga and protecting the European Super League and all the stuff. Now that you have more information about that, then you don't ask even a single question. I mean, even Florentino Perez was suggesting to the journalists, okay, ask me about that. Because he said something about, the journalist asked to Florentino Perez, okay, what was the situation when you first take over in Real Madrid, when you became president of Real Madrid back in 2000? And he said, no, it was pretty much Real Madrid was struggling, was going through a very hard times with the finances and all the stuff. It's pretty much about what is going on right now with soccer as a business, as an industry. You know, he was suggesting to the journalists, okay, why don't you ask me about the European Super League? And the journalist finally asked him about that, but just barely 1-2 questions. That's it. If I were the journalist, man, I would have asked about 5, 6, 10 questions about the new European Super League, because it's one of the most important things we have to talk about when it comes to Florentino Perez, Real Madrid, and soccer. But he didn't. So it was really surprising for me, but it's okay. Let's put aside all that beef and drama. It was pretty much the terrain where the journalists want to take the interview down. And let's talk about the most important, or at least all the information that Florentino Perez delivered in that interview that really affects to the future of Real Madrid. For example, he was pretty much talking about renovation of the squad, right? So what does that mean for Los Madridistas, or what is, in my opinion, what he's referring to when he said something like revolution, renovation, or those kind of words, you know? Okay, he was talking about, in my opinion, a couple of things. Number one, the next project the next squad, the next future of Real Madrid in the foreseeable future has to rely on the youngsters. And that is the first important thing, because if you think about the new squad or what the squad is going to be like in the next future, it is about all the players like, for example, Martin Odegaard, Antonio Blanco, Miguel Gutierrez, the importance that they will have in the new Real Madrid. I mean, he was pushing to the next coach, to Carlo Ancelotti, to use these young players, something that Zinedine Zidane didn't do with those. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's very important for us to create a new foundation for the new Real Madrid that relies on the young players. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot count anymore on the old players. I mean, although some of them are doing a great job. For example, Luka Modric with Croatia, Gareth Bale in Tottenham, or even, I don't know, Toni Kroos, or I don't know, Sergio Ramos is not anymore in Real Madrid. But instead of that, what we needs to happen is that the youngsters take over the squad and lead the squad to the next level. You know what I'm saying? So this year, for the first time in a while, we will see to the young players leading Real Madrid. And these young players are Martin Odegaard, Antonio Blanco, Miguel Gutierrez, Marvin, and players like those. But it's not only about those players. It's also about Kylian Mbappe. He's a very young player. He's another youngster. Erling Haaland, same thing. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo Goes. They should have the importance that they didn't last season. Maybe with the exception of Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo Goes, who had more minutes than the other ones. But in the same moments of La Liga last season, Antonio Blanco and Miguel Gutierrez popped up as a possible replacements for some positions in the field, like for example replacements for Casemiro, replacements for Mendy, just in case we need him. So in my opinion, these youngsters will have more importance this year than they had last year. So that is very good news in my opinion. Second one, and very related to the first point, is about the seniors. I mean, the older players in Real Madrid that, although they have had a lot of importance over the last 2-3 years, is the time for them to step aside, you know, and let the youngsters to take over the squad. I mean, we cannot keep counting on them anymore to stay competitive, especially when it comes to the Champions League. I mean, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Karim Benzema, all these players are still doing a great job in Real Madrid, but if you want to become one of the most competitive teams in Europe, you cannot count on the seniors anymore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to give the fresh blood the most important thing to the youngsters to become, again, one of the most competitive teams in Europe. Because what we saw every time that Chelsea was playing, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, all these teams, when it comes to physical condition of the players, they are just amazing. And they are, in my opinion, one step ahead of Real Madrid. And it's only about the youth. I mean, these teams have a lot of youngster people, have a lot of youngs in the squad. And that's why they are a little bit ahead of Real Madrid. So it's the moment for us to change everything completely, you know, and implement this kind of revolution where we will see to the youngsters taking over the squad and seeing the seniors going to the bench and stepping aside so the youngsters can have the opportunity to show everybody that they are the future of Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the foreseeable future, we have to have the young players in the squad. And I'm talking about maybe, I don't know, 7 to 8 players out of 11 in the lineup every single weekend. I mean, what happened last year, it was pretty much that Zinedine Zidane tried to give some opportunities to the youngsters, like for example Martin Odegaard and Luka Jovic, but the problem is when the good results didn't come through, he came back to the same. he came back to the seniors and he put in the lineup again to people like Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and Karim Benzema, and just because he knew that way he was going to win again. So we need to be patient when it comes to new projects and revolutions and all the stuff. I mean, it sounds really good, but the problem is if these players lack the experience enough to go ahead and win every single weekend, you have to have patience enough to say, hey, we have to trust in these players because maybe in the short term, in the short run, they are not going to win, they are not going to succeed, but in the midterm, in the long run, is the only way to go for us, right? I mean, they have to have the confidence to overcome all these obstacles and problems and things like that to become the most important players and the next leaders generations in Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? And the only way to get that is to line up to the young players in the lineup, right? So in my opinion, that is the kind of revolution we will see, we will witness as of the next season. And it's very important, because of course, if you also can top it all with the signings of Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, it'll be great. It'll be great because that revolution will be completed as soon as these young players as well, because Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland are still very young. Once they arrive, once they are landed in Real Madrid, we will see a totally different squad with a totally different perspective, and of course with a lot of expectations and a lot of, you know, young blood and young flesh, you know, something that was really exciting for me for the next future. So we have to be patient. But of course, all the things that Florentino Perez said yesterday during this interview, it was pretty much exciting because in my opinion, we are just opening the door to a new generation of players that really can lead Real Madrid in the future to become as competitive as we used to, as we are supposed to be in the next future. So very good news with this revolution, very good news with this renovation of Real Madrid. So now let me know your thoughts about